too many rules are holding you back. We usually have rules to keep us in line and on track and keeping us from wandering off too much. But at some point, the rules can be overbearing and cause you not to actually get any work done. These are 5 rules that might be holding you back. The first rule is you need to spend X amount of time on your art, or a painting, or a drawing. And I think that's good. Maybe you want to spend at least a little bit of time on it. But you never know how a painting is going to go together. It could come together in like a couple hours, or it could take 10 hours. It's really hard to tell, and I've had like some high expectations of myself before to spend 10, 15 hours on a painting. I think 15 hours is the most I've spent on a painting. And even at that point, it had some diminishing returns because I was just tweaking a bunch of stuff when I could have been making more art. In the beginning, I think it's better to spend a little less time on your art, and later, more time on your art. But if you have something where like, I need to spend 10 hours on this painting, and then I can be done, that's not always healthy. Because sometimes I've had paintings where I'm working on them, and it's like, okay, this needs more time, push myself, do more. And a lot of time I just sit there and stare at the painting and do nothing. And this has happened with some artwork where it's just like, ugh, I gotta get to 10 hours, gotta finish this thing. And it feels more like homework instead of making art, which should be fun. And that brings me to my second rule that I think was holding me back, which is very similar to the first one. And it was with, I need to finish the current painting I'm working on before I can start another one. And for the most part, this was meant to keep me from doing too much, because that is a trap of just starting a bunch of things and never finishing them. And you can just have a bunch of things that are just sitting there to be done, and it's like an open tab in your browser. It's just taking up extra space. For some things, like what I'm doing, the sketches, most of them are just going to stay sketches. Some of them I might push a little more, and some of them I think look good enough as their own. And other ones are just bad and I'm going to get rid of. But that's a tangent, right? Let me bring you back to the rule of needing to finish a painting before starting another one. And for the most part, this is a good rule, but I've gotten to the point, like with my last one, where it's like, okay, I'm not done. I got to finish this one. I'm not allowed to work on anything else until this is done. And that can be good, but also it can prevent you from like actually doing what you want and working on stuff that you want. And you probably just procrastinate even more on your painting because you're just expecting it to be done and you just don't really feel like working on it. And in that case, I would say maybe take a break for a few days, try something else, come back to it, see if you can work on it a little bit more. And some things you're just not going to do because it's just not going to happen. Something that can also help with this problem is it good enough? Is it good enough to share and put out there? I've had things that I spent 20 minutes on, put it out there on like Instagram, and it gets more likes than something I spent 7 hours on. So sometimes it's just good enough for some other people. I wouldn't say just put out a bunch of 20-minute things. Could be good. Could be interesting. Okay, so the next rule on my list of things that are holding you back is only draw from imagination. This is probably one of the dumbest rules. If you use this, you're not going to get very good at art. This is something that I don't do anymore, but I used to think you had to come up with things from your head and to be original. You don't have to come up with things from your head to be original. A lot of originality is combining things that already exist. You may think using reference is cheating and doing studies is cheating, but it's not. It's actually how most people create art anyways. And without ever using reference, you'll never learn to draw or observe things and make comparisons and be able to kind of capture the actual thing that you're trying to put into your painting. And that's a problem. But on the other hand, the fourth rule that's holding you back is you always need to use reference. And I think this is dumb as well. Because sometimes you just want to draw and doodle and come up with things like I do a lot of brainstorming or thumbnailing for things without using reference. I just kind of explore and play with ideas and look at shapes and see what I come up with. When you want to use a reference is when you need to be more accurate with your thing. But you don't need to be accurate. You can just be kind of loose with it and just doodle and have fun with it. It doesn't mean... So the thing between these two is you don't want to always use reference. It's not that you don't want to ever use reference. It's not that you always want to use reference. You kind of do a little bit of both. And some people get in the mindset of both. Or either or. Where it's just like, okay, I have to come up with my own thing. Otherwise, I'm not going to be good. Or it's like, okay, I have to always have a reference to be able to make something. And I would say earlier on, you want to do things from reference. And then later, maybe try doing things without reference. Test yourself. See where you are. See how good you are. And then pull up some reference and check it and see how you did. And the last thing that I've talked about before, and I might make a video on its own, is you have to make good art. This is another really dumb rule that we put on ourselves. Might not be one that we're aware of, because sometimes when I get out my sketchbook and I'm at like a coffee shop or something and I'm drawing, I'm like, what do I draw? What do I draw? I don't know. I gotta make something cool because somebody might walk by and look at it. Nobody's looking at your stuff, trust me. Nobody's looking at what you're doing. People are too busy in their own lives and distracted with other things that they're not going to be looking at what you're doing, so don't worry about that. And maybe you do make a bad drawing, and the bad drawings are actually where most of the learning comes from. You make a bad drawing and you can kind of realize, oh, what's wrong with this? How can I make this better? And that's where most of the improvement comes from, is the bad drawings. And the more you worry about making it good, the more likely you're going to make a mistake and it's going to come out terrible anyways. So quit stressing about making good drawings, because you're going to make mistakes anyways. It always happens. I think my current sketch for today isn't great. It wasn't my best drawing, but mistakes happen. I think for my thumbnail, I'll be like, don't be bad, and have my artwork. Don't do this. I think that will make a perfect thumbnail for it. But really, you should be making bad drawings, because I think any drawing you make is experience. It's your drawing. Like, how cool is that? What are some rules that are holding you back? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, Dartagon out. It's you? Again?